Hi, I'm Damien with Meridian Fence. We're out here. We're going to be setting a couple posts for you and kind of describing how we do it. Also, we'll be fabbing up a couple panels around here. Yeah, hope you like it.
Okay, we're going to start by pouring the concrete into the hole. We mix it a little bit thin, and that's so we can push the post down and through. We have a 2-foot deep hole. We're then going to run a tape measure against the previous post. We run it, I'll just pull this post out. We run it just on the inside of the post, and from the inside to inside of the post is 72 inches, which is the same distance as the rail. So we got it set on the previous post there. So the depth that it goes in is 7/8 of an inch. So I'm going to set this to 71 1/8 for my between. And then just push the post down into the concrete. And then we just need to level it up, making sure we're still on the line. So we're nice and level right there. A little bit too far back, so you just adjust it as needed. You want to make sure you don't make your concrete too tight and that you do your adjustments before it starts to set, or you'll be in trouble. All right, and now that we've got that set, we'll just let it sit and come back another day to put the panels in. Okay, and so we're back now, and the first thing we need to do before doing sections is to run our grade string. So we've run our grade string, and we've got it leveled out with our string line level. I wanted to point out a couple things. We've got a pretty large gap on our grade at this point, but as you come down the line of fence, we're hitting the ground on the backside. So the customer is going to regrade the property, and I just wanted to point that out. But make sure before you start doing sections that you understand the final look that you're looking for. And so we'll get readjusted and start showing you sections. All right. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show you how to put the brackets on. These brackets are going to be the same for any of the styles we do. So Damien is going to line up the top of the bracket with the string line, and that's going to establish the grade on the fence. So Damien and Junior are going to go ahead and get this section assembled, and I'll just kind of describe it as they go. And each bracket has 2 screws on it, and I will grab one. I'll just show you a little bit of a close-up. And once Damien has those brackets in place, Junior's going to put in the bottom rail. It just slides into place. So you just push it into the center of the rail, and on the opposite side, just slide it down, and it just sits in place. You want to make sure those are cut properly. If you have small sections, you don't want them to be too loose, or they will vibrate and fall off. Now, we're going to start with a wood fence. And the first picket's not any good, so we'll just throw that aside. So as you're doing it, just kind of keep an eye on the fence boards that you're putting in front and back. You're putting a nice fence in, so you don't want to have boards that the customer doesn't like. Nice feature of this fence is if you do need to replace a board, it's going to be a very simple process to remove the top rail and exchange a board, of whether it's kids damaging it or just a board that the customer doesn't care for. And the posts are nice and sturdy, so we can lean stuff against them. And we're running a 3/4 inch cedar board in this. You got to be careful if you're running a 1/2 inch board or something like that. You'll get a lot of vibration in the rail. So you want to get a board that's between 3/4 and 7/8 of an inch thick in order to be the most effective. So as we get close to the end of it, though, most of the time you will have to cut a final piece. And so as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap. So we're going to take a minute and just measure that. And you just measure inside the post to the outside of the picket. And then we're just going to use a skill saw to cut that. And then we'll hide the cut side towards the post. Okay, so got our cut piece here. We cut this end with a skill saw, so it's not perfect. So I will put that towards the post. Just come down from the top, and we just slide it in place. We'll just tap on it from the back. And now we're ready for the top rail. So top rail goes in just the reverse of the bottom rail. You just put it down into the channel. Go ahead and go all the way down on your end there. And then you just work pickets in from side to side. And it does help on the cedar fence to have two people that are working the pickets from either end. So one of the things to do is after you do all your sections, it's important to kind of look at your top rail and make sure there's not any variance. If your pickets are different heights, you might get just a little variance. So if you do, just tap them up a little bit. The last step we'll do is we'll put a couple brackets on the top rail. And again, this will be the same for any of the different styles. And then we'll cut our post. All right, so the brackets that we're using on the top are a little L bracket made out of metal, and then it's a little self-tapping screw. It's a Phillips drive, and so the bottom brackets use a 5/16 hex drive, and so you will need those two things, but that will hold the top rail in place and keep everything solid. Damien is going to go ahead and put in the top brackets to keep the rail from coming out. All right, so the last step that we're going to do, using a tape measure and a speed square, and what we're going to do is cut the height of the fence. So I'm just measuring 2 inches above our rail. I'm using a silver Sharpie, and I'm just going to mark a quick line on it, going all the way around the post. And then I'm going to use a circular saw. You can use a bandsaw or a sawzall to do this, and make sure you have eye protection and hearing protection when you do it. It's very loud. We'll mute the sound for you on the video. Just need to grab a cap for it. Cap on, hides the little mark that we made, and just wipe down. If you have a saw that has a rough base, you might put a piece of tape there just to prevent it from scratching the material.